We are bringing the podcast into the real world with our first ever in-person event, an evening of curiosity and conversation hosted in downtown Chicago, February 19th, 2026. Picture an intimate dinner party stacked with speakers, all guests from some of your favorite episodes, and space to make new child-free friends. Seats are limited, so you can read all the details and get your ticket by visiting Curious Life of a Child-Free Woman/2026 event. Welcome to Curious Life of a Child-Free Woman, a podcast exploring today's most interesting topics through the lens of a happy child-free life. Every week, I chat with experts inspiring us to think differently, live intentionally, and find fulfillment on our terms. Whether you're child-free or seeking a space where parenthood isn't part of the conversation, you are welcome here. It's not about comparison, it's about possibility. Before we start the episode, do you know about the Curious Life Club on Substack? It's a free community to enjoy bonus content and sneak peeks, and to connect with other cool women like you. Join us at curiouslyfeofachildfreewoman.substack.com. Now let's get curious together. I have been conscious of my skin since middle school. I remember carrying concealer around in my backpack so I could cover blemishes throughout the school day. I would coat my eyelids in glitter for cheerleading practice, and I somehow thought shiny lip gloss went really well with my braces. I spent most of high school sporting a truly horrific orange spray tan. So that's where I started. Then fast forward to adulthood, our skincare routines have become really serious. Most of us are trying to rapidly undo those tanning bed and Neutrogena alcohol astringent mistakes we made before it's too late. And with all the hot new products and techniques and treatments on the market, I will be the first to confess I really have no idea what I'm doing. So I am thrilled to welcome today's guest, Tara Leggero. Tara has spent more than 2 decades helping people feel at home in their skin again, and I have been a fangirl of hers for years. She's a top licensed esthetician who works with clients in Chicago and Miami, combining deep technical knowledge with a real understanding of how skin health affects confidence and well-being. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to do this today. Thank you for having me.
I am honored. The fangirl part is so true. So I feel like I'm in the presence of a celebrity, and I cannot wait to learn so much from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You're not alone with all of the high school mistakes that we made. We just didn't have the knowledge then. Skincare has shifted so much. It's so different today.
Okay, well, that's what I want to learn about. So I feel like the word esthetician, I know what that is. I go to one, I have one, I know it's important, but I don't really understand that career path. I'd love to know more about what drew you to this world and what esthetician really means.
Yeah, great question. So I went to school to be an esthetician purely for selfish reasons because I struggled with my own skin. I struggled with acne. And at that time, the options were really over-the-counter skincare products from the drugstore or dermatologist. I had tried everything from the drugstore with no luck and went to a dermatologist. And I remember feeling so excited about this appointment. It took months to get into this dermatologist, and I remember thinking that this was going to be the thing that just transformed my skin. And I went to this appointment. The dermatologist, I will never forget, was cold, dismissive, barely looked at my skin. The appointment lasted for 15 minutes tops, and I left with a prescription, oral prescription and a topical prescription, but no guidance on how to use anything. So unsurprisingly, it did not work, and in fact made my skin worse because I think the topical that I was given was tretinoin, which was way too harsh, especially to not have any guidance on how to use it. I remember going back to that dermatologist maybe months later, and same kind of experience. He was dismissive, he was cold, he basically blamed it on me. At this point, I'm a teenager, and it was just a really frustrating experience. So I think I had tried multiple dermatologists since then with no real luck or guidance. So when I got out of high school, I decided to go to school for aesthetics, again, purely for selfish reasons. I wanted to understand my own skin, and I loved it. I loved learning about it. I loved applying the knowledge that I gained. And then when I could work, I realized that I was not alone in my experience, that so many people had the same situations with dermatologists. And there wasn't really anything in between drugstore and dermatologist. So that's where an esthetician comes in because they're looking at your skin, they're touching your skin, and wanting to know more about your life and your health and just integrating all of that stuff together.
I'm sorry you had that experience. I had a very similar experience, and I went into it thinking the same thing. I was so grateful. My mom got this appointment. Yes, probably within a week, I'll be beautiful. I had it all mapped out in my mind. It didn't go that way. A week tops, fix me. You're a professional. It didn't go that way at all, which just sent me right back to the drugstore. And what else can we buy? What else have I seen on a commercial or heard about from a girlfriend? So from there to now, as somebody who has been in this industry as a professional for 2 decades, and you look incredibly young, which is part of what we'll talk about, what has changed? What are you seeing evolve in skincare space?
Everything. I mean, at that time when I went to school, nobody knew what an esthetician was. Actually, it was quite embarrassing because I would tell people and they were like, "Well, what? What is esthetician? So you're just going to touch people's faces?" They didn't really get it. And the school that I went to, I think there were 6 people in it. And aesthetic school was not a big thing at all. So back then, it wasn't what it is today. And what I started off doing was basically facials, basic spa facials, and waxing services, eyebrow waxing. And from the time I went to aesthetic school, I knew I wanted to be in medical aesthetics because I knew that I wanted to help people understand their skin the way I wanted to understand mine. And since nobody was explaining it, the dermatologist wasn't explaining it, I wanted to be that middle person. So I just made a decision to continue moving in that direction, any chance that I could get. So after spending probably 8 to 10 years in the spa setting, I went into a dermatology setting and learned as much as I could there. And then I got a laser certification. So I went to a course to learn how to do lasers and then started working in a med spa and focused more on medical skincare. And now there's lasers and there's skincare products. Really, there's not one way to do it. I think you just have to decide what the right way for you is.
Let's talk about that understanding that you were passionate about helping people understand what's actually going on and giving us that explanation. What does that look like when you meet somebody for the first time and they come in as a patient? Of course, you're looking at their skin, but I'm sure there's so much else that goes into it. What is connected to our skin?
Everything. And that is not something that I realized until probably 10 years ago. I had an idea of it, but for a long time, it was just what you were putting on your skin and the treatments that you were doing. It wasn't really what you were putting in your body. Now we have an understanding that your diet plays a role in how your skin behaves, your hormones, your lifestyle, the things that you do every day, your sleep, your nervous system, stress, anxiety, cortisol, all of these things play a role in our skin. And then, of course, the habits that you have with your skincare routine, the products that you're putting on it, the treatments that you're doing, all of it matters.
I feel like that inside out approach is such new information, and it's probably partially technological advances in data and understanding scientifically how these things are connected. I also think maybe we've been a little bit reluctant to embrace the reality that my pizza and cocktail is the thing that's messing me up. We want these things to be separate. I live my life, I eat things, I work out or I don't, whatever. And then separately, I put stuff on my skin and I try to buy nice stuff. But the reality is, as you said, we're learning more. It's so interconnected. And you even surprised me there. Hormones, I guess that makes sense, but sleep, cortisol, stress, inflammation. I feel like we have been in the dark on how those things play into it.
Yes, absolutely. You're right. We have been. And I think there is still so much more. In fact, I know there is still so much more to learn. But it's also, when you think about it, Of course, it's all connected. If you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to affect your skin. Of course, if your hormones are out of balance or if your diet is full of chemicals and sugar, of course that's going to affect your skin. Our skin is an organ, it's a detoxification organ. So whatever you're putting in it, it's going to come out one way or another.
Okay, say more about that. What do you mean a detoxification organ?
So we have different detox pathways within our body, and our skin is one of them. So we excrete through sweat, things like that. If our pathways are blocked, the liver is blocked, and we can't detoxify through our liver, it will come through our skin in different forms, rashes, acne, various things.
That is crazy. Like you said, it's so intellectually, of course, we all learned in second grade that the skin is the largest organ, but then we forgot about that for a long time. And it's wild to think of this when I think about my real life. Okay, well, what am I actually doing? Am I drinking enough water? Am I sleeping consistently? So when people come to you, do you see any lifestyle factors that you feel like most of us are missing?
Yes, it varies. So if there's somebody that I have been working with for years and years and they come in, they're like, I don't know what's going on with my skin. I'm breaking out, or it's just really dry, or they're having whatever XYZ. And they say, well, I was on vacation for a week. I wasn't sleeping well. I didn't have my skincare products. I wasn't good with my routine. All of these things matter, of course. And sometimes it's just a blip. We're fluctuating, we're living life, and those things are going to happen. It's not a linear process. It's not going to be 100% of the time, and that's okay. We can get back on track. But I think it is when you are consistently struggling with the same thing again and again, then you really have to make some decisions to get honest with yourself about your life and how it's affecting your skin.
Those changes are the hardest to make, but maybe they're the biggest thing, right? Maybe it's the big thing that will make the difference. Instead of us thinking, okay, let me go get one more product or try one more serum, maybe it's a diet change, a sleep change, a stress change, which of course will benefit us in so many other ways beyond skin.
Yeah, sometimes it is the biggest thing. It's also often the most simple thing. The most simple thing that nobody really wants to do. Everybody wants to buy a new product, or they see something on TikTok and they want to use that on their skin, or they want to try that treatment and they think it's going to basically fix what their habits are responsible for.
I was just recording with Nadine, who did an episode on meditation, and we were talking about our resistance to simplicity. It's so silly because it's like, what are we just volunteering to spend more money, have more heartache about these things? But it's almost like we just can't believe it if the answer is drink more water, sleep on clean sheets, go to bed at a reasonable time, don't eat sugar late into the night, whatever the lifestyle tips that you give your clients. That's it. No, we should probably set an appointment and I should buy something new. But I don't know what it is about us. We just feel like if it sounds easy, it's not going to work. But usually that's the thing that makes the most impact.
Yeah. And it's not always the thing, also. Our skin is such a complex thing, and everybody is so different. So that advice won't work for everybody. I know that didn't work for me, but
Right.
sometimes you really do need the treatment and you need the products and you need to be consistent. But often it is so simple.
Okay. I feel like everybody listening would be disappointed in me if I didn't ask you, what are the treatments? And I know this isn't like prescriptive because everybody is so different. I feel like I know there are lasers in general. I've heard of microneedling. That's where my knowledge stops. And sometimes I wonder, there's probably all this cool stuff that I could be benefiting from, and I just don't even know it's been invented or I don't know it exists. So in 2025, looking ahead, are there some treatments that you feel excited about as somebody who's in this space?
I think as far as treatments go, I personally like to stick to things that have been around a while. I tend to be more of a late adopter because the things that are new, we don't have a lot of data on them. We don't know what it's going to look like in 5, 10 years, right? And as you said, it really depends on your goals. Now, for somebody who doesn't necessarily have any major corrective issues, I think that doing something just to regenerate the skin, microneedling is a great treatment that helps to stimulate collagen. It resurfaces without being too invasive or taking a lot of time for recovery. It doesn't need to be complicated, but the more severe your concerns are, the more aggressive the treatment might need to be.
Okay, got it. And let's talk about aging. I feel like we have to in the skincare space. I feel like that's what, at least in my world and in my social circles, I mean, I still have acne. We still have acne. We're still dealing with that. There was an era where all the girlfriend conversation about skin was about acne. Now, all the girlfriend conversation around skin is about aging, anti aging, all these different words. And it's interesting because sometimes we have conversations about aging. And when I've interviewed people on this show who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, there's this consistent message that the older we get, the less we care about what people think. And it's this beautiful transformation to just feel more aligned with yourself, your authenticity. It's a beautiful thing. It sounds really beautiful to just be less concerned with other people's perception of you. Yet, in the skincare space, it feels like we haven't really adopted that. And there's so many things we're fascinated by and researching and trying to help us look younger. What is your take on this whole concept of aging, anti-aging related to your work?
I hate the word anti-aging. Listen, I think it's inevitable. We're all aging. It is a part of life, and it is a privilege. It's a beautiful part of life. And I think what you said exactly is so true. The older we get, the less we really care, and the more we're just confident within ourselves. So it is something that we have to embrace, but I think that we can do it well. And there are ways to do it well. So that can include treatments, that can include just taking care of your skin. But I think as far as aging goes, it is also an internal and external thing. We have to care for ourselves internally and do the things that help externally as well.
What are the things that you think are most impactful to help us age well? And maybe from the treatment perspective, if we sort of are at a place where it's okay, our diet is in check, we have a fitness routine that's in check, we're doing our best with sleep, we're checking some of those big lifestyle factors. Where are we with filler as a culture? What are the things that you think of as, okay, we don't want to be anti-aging, but we can still feel good about ourselves as we go through it?
Yeah, so I've been in this industry now long enough to know and to have experience. There was a rise of filler where we were filling everything. I did it. I put it in my entire face. And then it started to look overdone. Everybody started to look the same. And then I dissolved all my filler. We got away from that. Now a lot of people are going for more regenerative treatments. So things that are naturally stimulating our own collagen. As far as injectables, people are doing biostimulators, which is like Sculptra and Radiesse. These injections help your own body to stimulate collagen. So you're not filling it with something other than what is happening in your own body. And then treatments, laser treatments, microneedling, chemical peels, all of these things will help to stimulate collagen, support the elastin, and strengthen our skin.
Okay. That's exciting to me. I've never done filler, and I feel like I'm in the minority of women I know my age who have never filled anything. But I also see what you're saying, where it seems like the trend is moving away from that. And some people who are getting a lot of it are getting a little bit less. But of course, we want to replace that with something. So these regenerative things sound exciting to me.
And I think it all works together. The bioregeneration, the Sculptra and the Radiesse, those things are great. They will help to firm your skin, stimulate your collagen, helps with the long term, but also not necessarily helping with pigment or texture in the skin. So you have to include some things topically that will work with that.
Okay, I guess it goes back to what you said, that everyone's concerns are different, and maybe you need a combination of things depending on your exact goals.
Exactly. And the best way to get a plan that's right for you is to see a professional. And I think that's hard for a lot of people because there's so much knowledge on TikTok, Instagram, everybody's talking about it. Our friends are talking about it. Influencers are talking about it. You can go to ChatGPT to ask questions. But again, it really comes down to knowing what's right for you is somebody who can actually look at your skin, feel your skin, understand your lifestyle, and understand your goals, your long-term goals, your short-term goals. I think that's where you get the best answer.
That makes sense. It is tempting, maybe if we don't even have the intention, but just content comes at you and they're talking about things that maybe you haven't heard of, but the person showing it looks great. And then it just plants a seed. Maybe I need that. Maybe I should invest in that. But it is so personal and could be dangerous, right? Depending on where we get this information, I feel like we have to go to a source who gets us.
Absolutely. And I think also we have to remember one, people who are promoting products online, influencers, there's usually some incentive there for them, not necessarily for you. They're in it for them. So they get some kickback or followers or whatever. Also, people who are sharing their results, before and afters, typically you're getting the best before and after that they have. And some of them are great. A lot of people are out here truly educating people and sharing about the treatment and giving honest advice. But again, they're giving you their best result and not necessarily sharing the process and if that treatment is right for you.
It's so specific. It's so personal, as it should be. As we said, our skin is the largest organ, so we can't take it lightly. And I want things that are developed just for me or recommended just for me.
Absolutely. That's where you get the best results.
The community that has developed from this podcast is incredible. And I am so excited to meet in real life. We're hosting our first in-person event, an evening of curiosity and conversation focused on the power of self-expression. Picture a luxurious dinner party, luxurious drinks, mingling, mixing here in downtown Chicago on February 19th, 2026. And the event is also stacked with speakers from some of your favorite episodes. Trisha Brooke is delivering a custom keynote on the power of using our authentic voice for positive influence. We have a self-expression panel featuring sustainability expert Ashley Piper, transformative wardrobe stylist Shelley Carlson, and nervous system expert Olivia Murray. The event is going to be kicked off with an intention-setting meditation hosted by Nadine Cherry. These are the voices we already love, and now we have the opportunity to meet face-to-face. Come to learn, ask questions, connect with cool child-free women, and embrace the kind of inspiration that lasts through the entire year. Seats are intentionally limited to keep this intimate, and tickets are first come, first serve. So if you've been listening to the podcast and thinking, I want to be part of a community of women like this is your invitation. Grab your ticket by visiting CuriousLifeOfAChildFreeWoman.com/2026 event. I cannot wait to see you there. Let's talk about collagen. You mentioned that some of these regenerative things, they help generate collagen or boost collagen. Can you explain? I feel like that's another word that is everywhere. We're drinking collagen. There's collagen in lotion for different things. What is collagen and how do we really get more of it?
So collagen is what makes our skin firm and youthful. It's the plumpness that we get. So if you think of kids, they have that nice, juicy, plump skin. That unfortunately starts to decline when we're in our 20s. So very soon. There are different ways to get collagen, and ingesting collagen is just not well studied because there are different sources and how we absorb it. So that's a little bit of a gray area and not something that I personally know a lot about. So I don't want to speak too much to that. But as far as collagen in our skin, the treatments that we do, lasers, microneedling, things like that, what we're doing is we're creating a very controlled injury that your body knows how to repair by building collagen. So when we create these injuries, we build the collagen, and that's what keeps the skin firm and plump.
Okay, got it. So we're doing intentional, as you said, controlled damage. Feels like strength training. Is that how it is, where it's like you damage something and then it comes back stronger?
Yep, it's exactly how it is. Absolutely. And you want to do that with a professional. There are things that we can do at home to stimulate collagen, but In a medical setting, we're obviously going deeper, it's more controlled, it's sanitary. We're taking all of those things into consideration. It's not something you want to be doing in your bathroom at home.
Okay, that's a good reminder because there are things on the internet.
There are things on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, things where you just roll needles all over your face, and I can't do that by myself. I need help. This might be a silly question. Is there a limit, this regeneration that we're trying to kickstart when we create these micro injuries and then our skin comes back stronger, firmer, more collagen? Can we do that for the rest of our lives, or is there a limit to how often our skin will come back?
Great question. First, it depends on you, on how much collagen we need to stimulate. So if you're starting out, you don't have a lot of concerns with your skin, you probably need less of it. But it also varies depending on the device that we're using. For example, microneedling, they recommend X amount of sessions, X amount of weeks apart, and then you maintain that by doing one session each quarter. So that's an example. Now, if you're doing other things that stimulate collagen, if you do a laser, then you might not need that one treatment each quarter. Also, you get to a certain point where you've reached the goal of that particular treatment. So often what happens, what I see frequently is, let's take the texture, for example. They want to improve their texture. We do treatments to improve their texture. By the end of the treatment, they feel so happy with their skin that now they're focused on something else like pigmentation. So then we start a series of treatments that will focus on pigmentation. Just depends on the person, but it could be a laser treatment, it could be a chemical peel. Again, just depends, but we complete a series of that. If they get their skin to a place where they feel truly happy, like they have the skin they've been dreaming of, we maintain those treatments. They're on a maintenance plan. So that's really how I like to work.
I appreciate that. That's what we want. We want to achieve the goal and then do whatever we need to stay there, which hopefully is less invasive or just less work, right? Once we solve a problem, then just staying in the solution feels like where we want to end up, right?
Absolutely. That's maintenance forever. But of course, as we get older, as we age, we start to lose more and more collagen, things start to break down. So we might want to think about treatments that are a little more aggressive in achieving those goals.
I wasn't planning to ask you this, but what's the age range of your clients? I keep seeing in the news where really young girls, tweens, are getting into skincare so much earlier than we did with my spray tans and glitter eyeshadow. They're doing real legit skincare at a young age. And then, of course, we know the older we get, sometimes we focus on it more. Maybe some of us focus on it less. What do you see as the main group who's coming in and wanting to get support and invest in their skin?
I have patients as young as 14 years old, maybe even younger than that, and as old as 75, maybe slightly older than that. So anywhere in between. I think most of my demographic is between early 30s to mid 40s. I would say that's where I see the most people. Now, the younger people that I'm seeing are usually struggling with acne. It's usually going through puberty, struggling with hormonal acne, just trying to understand a proper skincare routine, which I appreciate so much. It's usually their moms that bring them in and they just want to get them on a good skincare routine that isn't overwhelming. I'm so happy to be able to help that younger generation with that, to understand their skin.
I appreciate the positive side of that. I think sometimes we see these news reports and they're painting it in such a negative picture. And maybe there is a dark side to 11-year-olds going in and buying retinol or something really aggressive at Sephora.
Yes.
Very scary when their skin is so perfect. You just want to be like, you don't even know how good you've got it. Just enjoy being 11. But at the same time, I do think getting into a skincare routine and understanding this at a younger age, we would have been so lucky. And sometimes when we don't have the information, we do more damage than we meant to. It sounds like you and I both went to a dermatologist that put us on something way too harsh. My mom has told me stories when she struggled with acne as a teenager. Her dermatologist recommended that she went to a tanning bed, which seems insane now, but It was real. And she's so fair complected, right? She's actually had skin cancer twice. And it's just crazy how things, to your point at the beginning, things evolve so much and they evolve so quickly. Knowledge is power at any age, I guess.
And you're right, the pendulum has swung the other direction where we had no resources. We definitely had no TikTok, no internet to even understand skin. And now these younger girls mostly are going just crazy with skincare products. And I don't think that it needs to be that. And as much as I can help the younger girls understand that, I am so honored to. But it's tough. It's tough to be that age. It's so easily influenced, and you want to be using the things. And how do you know when it's right?
It's hard at any age. I feel like that's why your work is so important and why I've been excited for this, because I think we're all craving knowledge we can trust from somebody who knows what they're doing and they really have our best interest at heart. It's not just selling products with an affiliate link or something. It's really with the goal of getting us to our personal goals.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. And it's hard. It's overwhelming, I think, because it's coming at you from every direction.
We've talked about the aesthetic side of this. Let's talk about the mental side. With so many things available, it's almost like getting a tattoo. You get one and then you want another one. And I could see where it can be a slippery slope. Once you try something or once you quote unquote fix something, then your eyes are open to a different thing that you maybe want to take some action on. And I don't think that's bad. I've done that with my amateur skincare knowledge, and I got a laser to get a sunspot off. And then I was, oh, wait, should I have this laser remove this thing over here that's starting to develop? So I'm not saying it's bad to be on a skincare journey and embrace more treatments as you have more understanding of them. Does a slippery slope happen? How do you work with people where you keep them feeling their best, being in this state of confidence without becoming obsessive about everything we could change?
Yeah, that is such a good question. I think the space that I'm in, I probably experience that less than somebody who's more of an injector or plastic surgery. They tend to see more of that. But I always like to have very realistic goals with the patients that I see. We have conversations, we have an understanding of what we're trying to focus on. I like to understand their concerns and then achieve that goal for them. So once we do that, there should be no more things. If they want to address something else, if it's in reason, absolutely we can. But my policy is always honesty. And if it's something that I think that they just need to learn to love, then I will be very honest about that.
That's a good way to say it. Just learn to love it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have pores forever. We're always going to have pores. Our skin will always have texture. We will always have some pigmentation. We can improve it to a degree, but we're not filtered people. And I think if we are comparing ourselves to filtered images online, that's where things get dangerous and we can be really hard on ourselves. So I do remind my patients of that constantly. We have to love ourselves and be kind to ourselves.
This is a little philosophical, but I feel like it's important. It's such a tricky subject, I think, anytime we're talking about looks, body image, personal image, beauty, because I feel like I live in this space as a woman, maybe a feminist, I don't know, where half of me feels like, stop even equating this stuff to us. We're worth so much more. There's so much more to us than the way that we look. And I don't want to always be talking about what we're going to put on our face and the makeup and the clothes and all the things. And yet the other half of me almost never goes outside without makeup. And I love it. And it makes me feel better. And I want to do things for my skin. Yes, for the health, but honestly, for the looks. And I do care about fashion. And I do work out because of the way it makes my body look. And all of that, I think, is very realistic and also okay to celebrate as we just want self-confidence and we want to feel like our best selves. And sometimes I feel like even bringing up these conversations or instigating these conversations, I don't know where I want to fall on either side of that spectrum. I don't want to perpetuate a narrative that I think is problematic, but also I want to be honest and curious that I do want to know about this stuff. And I'm probably going to pay for some of these treatments and techniques, and maybe I'll do more and more of it the older I get. What is your feeling around all of this?
Yeah, I think you are not alone in feeling that way, where you're torn, and it's so valid. I think that we want to always do the things that make us feel good. If we are doing things for validation, for sharing it on Instagram, for the likes or whatever, then we're going too far. If you enjoy a skincare routine, if it makes you truly feel good, if you enjoy the self-care, then that is how you know it's right for you, I think. Same with working out. If we're doing it for other people, if we're dressing for other people, then it's not right. If the skincare routine that we're doing is for something else other than to make ourselves feel good and feel good about being in our own skin, then that's where we have to be.
It's a beautiful response. It comes back to authenticity. And I know people get really sick of that word, but I can't come up with a synonym that means the same thing, or I would use a different word. And I think this is what we're all seeking in so many ways. It's this fulfillment of feeling at peace, calm, content, satisfied, whatever word comes to mind for you. And I feel like living in our authenticity is the way to get there. And as silly as it may sound, I think skincare is part of that, just like personal style is part of that. And sustainability, the way we consume things in our home and in our lives, and where we shop, and the food we eat, and how we move our bodies, and whether we have a mindfulness routine, all of these things stack up. And yes, it is partially the outward presentation of ourselves, but it's the way that presentation reflects back inward and makes us feel like, okay, I am putting my best foot forward in a way that feels totally true to who I am and how I want to be understood, or I'm not. And if I'm not, what is the piece of the puzzle that's out of place? And how do I bring that back into alignment? I just feel like these topics, sometimes on the surface, can feel surface level, but they're not. There's so much depth to how this actually impacts our energy and self awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you do the things that are truly authentic to you, that make you feel good, it reflects outwardly.
Let's talk about living with authenticity. You and I are both child free. And I love to ask, I mean, people come on the show who are child free, people come on the show who are not child free. But when I have the opportunity to meet with a fellow child free person, especially because we're talking about this alignment and reflection in our lifestyle, I would love to hear from you. How has being child free enhanced or changed your own vision of what a fulfilled life looks like?
Well, I think I don't know anything different. So this is just how it has always been for me. And I don't know that it was something that I necessarily chose, not chose, but kids was never something that I had to have. It was never something that I really felt was part of who I was and was part of my purpose. I always thought, well, if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, I think I'm okay either way. And now that I am older and I have lived a life with freedom, I don't want any other way. It's actually really great to have the freedom that you have to travel the way you want, to have your home the way you want, to do the things that you want. Again, but I don't know any other way.
It's not about comparison, it's about possibility, right? And the possibility we each have to live the way that we want. I think that response is perfect because part of this is just normalizing that this is normal. It's just the life that you have, whether it was a big, strenuous decision or it wasn't. Some of us are here based on circumstances. Some are here because we've known our whole lives we didn't want to be a parent. There's so much nuance to getting to this place of a child-free lifestyle. But I think just representing that it's fun, it's normal, it's free, that's an important thing that we just don't see that much in culture.
In my younger years, it was assumed that that was the direction because that's just how life was. I mean, whether it was from peers or from my family, it was just assumed that that was the direction that I was going to go in. But it was never really something that I felt like I wanted to go in that direction. So I think Only recently are people really learning that they get to choose whether or not they want to have children and that it is not a selfish choice. Either way. And nothing is wrong with you if you choose not to.
Exactly. We need more people saying that because you're right. I do think it's new. And there's a huge group of people, which has become apparent to me as somebody who's really outed my child-free life. There's still people who don't see it as a choice. I also get lots of messages from mothers who express that even though they don't regret their path, they wish they would have realized it was a choice. I think we are in this new moment or the beginning of a new era for women where hopefully we have the space to just look inward, know ourselves well enough to remember it is a choice and we can choose based on what feels right for us. And that can be enough. It's not about anybody else. It's not about any societal structures. What feels right to you in the season of life where you're making the decision, that's really all that matters. And back to that idea that sometimes the simplest thing we're so resistant to, I think we want to really overcomplicate this culturally, but we don't have to. It can just be what it is. Some people have kids, some people don't.
Right. Absolutely. If things change, you can also change your mind at some point. So I think it doesn't have to also be like one way or the other. It's fluid and it's always a choice.
So true. Tara, I have loved learning from you. I'm sure a lot of people listening would love to work with you if they can get to the locations that you're in, or at least continue to learn from you. So where is the best place for people to connect?
Hi, I'm on Instagram, and appointments in Chicago are unfortunately limited. I still do go back, but I'm there once every month or 2 months. And in Miami, I'm certainly much more available.
Amazing. Well, we have listeners everywhere. So if you're in one of those places, don't hesitate. I know you book up far in advance, but also your content is so educational and inspiring and grounding. So we will make sure that Instagram is linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I feel educated and excited about skincare and all the things.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
If this episode sparked something in you, come and join the conversation on Instagram at Curious Life of a Child-Free Woman. You can find more stories, guest insights, and moments that remind us why curiosity is so important. Speaking of curiosity, we're hosting our first in-person event, an evening of curiosity and conversation, February 19th here in downtown Chicago. Seats are intentionally limited and tickets are going fast. So get yours by visiting CuriousLifeOfAChildFreeWoman.com/2026 event. And serious bonus, our keynote speaker, Trisha Brooke, has generously offered our listeners access to her free monthly workshop series. To learn more and sign up for the workshop, visit the link in the show notes. Until next time, let's stay curious together.